So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our video of Mars in the fifth house in the sign of Gemini for Aquarius ascendant people. As in what happens when Mars is in the fifth house in Gemini and controls the 10th house and the third house. Okay. And as always, if you do not know if you have this particular position, what sign it's in, what nakshatra it's in, along with all your astrological details, you can check out the links here, Astrology.com, where you'll find my books, reports, consultation, especially my new consultation of Moon Nectar reading. Like everything that the moon is here to give you. So that is now active, but I get bored with reading, so then I change it. So I might change it from moon to sun in like a month. I don't know. So anyway, Mars in the fifth house in Gemini. Okay, so this is a very interesting position. The number one thing you will see with this particular Mars is that the person is always bothered by children throughout life. Whether a person is an 18-year-old kid, goes to cousin's home and family parties, and there are like 6, 7 kids there. Kids as in like 8, 9, 10, 11. They're always bothering this person. They're always wanting to ask for things with this person. When a person is old, walking on the street, they will come up to this person asking for candy, asking for this and that. So what happens is here that Mars gets irritated. And because of how they have grown from that young age, they kind of actually take a very hard approach in raising their own children. And this is why this is a particular placement of Mars where a person tends to not have a good relationship with their children. As they grow older, now you must be thinking, oh, I have a great relationship with my child. See, with your child, it's your child. They're not a teenager yet. They're not adult yet, where they're wanting to make their own decisions. They start to see things. They start to observe things. Every single child at some point will always say, well, mom, you did this, and dad, you did this when I wanted to do this. Why would you do this to me? We all have said these things. But this particular Mars, well, then what happens is when the child kind of confronts, they will talk back. They will defend themselves, because here Mars is in the zodiac of Gemini. So that means this person has, when it comes to dealing with children, there is two aggressive twins sitting within the person. Not even twins. I shouldn't say twins. Gemini is not twins. I don't know how many times I have to correct my... See, I get caught up in the twin part too, but it's actually male, female that are tugging along. Okay, one wants to pull decision one way, the other wants to pull the decision the other way. And because of this, there's this twin side that comes out when this person is dealing with children. They can be very aggressive with the children, and naturally, it'll always create disputes with children at one point. Now, you may be thinking, oh my God, my daughter and my son, bless their heart, they're the best, they love me, this and that. They're not teenagers. They're not in their 20s and 30s. Okay? The real issue always comes up, especially in 20s, when you begin to feel independent and you start to regurgitate back to how your parents were in this decision, that decision. Okay? And especially as an Aquarius ascendant, Mars in the fifth can mistreat children, where children will then blame you. I remember when I wanted this, you didn't let me have it. And if I could have had it, I could have been so much better in this particular thing. They will pinpoint things. Okay. That's what happened. This person will create mistakes, multiple mistakes related to children. And it'll be a very cold decisions that they would make regarding children. Like there's no point of thinking, negotiations, pondering. Is this good for the child? Is it good for me, or is it good for the child? No, if it's good for me, that is going to be good for the child. So this is where you're going to have to take, a very refined approach with patience, with the side of patience. You have to understand your children. See the positive side of Mars, because look, I don't know what your Mars is. Mars may not be alone for most people. It might be conjunct a planet that will transform Mars's energy. Mars will be aspected by a planet that will also transform the planet's energy, either for better or for worse. Okay? But see, Mars in the fifth house, especially related to one's intelligence. Okay. This is where the mistakes are made, especially when children come in, it activates Mars. It activates Mars. Naturally, when children come in, one has a major transformation in their career and the lives of siblings, number one. Number two, when your sibling gets married, it again brings a transformation in your career and with your with children. Like for example, your sibling got married, you gave birth to children. You become a mother or father. Okay, so those things will take place, but especially with Mars, in the fifth house in sign of Gemini. Gemini is an extremely masculine sign, but at the same time, it can switch to female energy instantly. And this is where it's so hard to deal with this person, because they could be angry and they can say so many things when Mars is in Gemini. They don't think actually. A child doesn't think, it just says it. So here the child is saying something, even though this is an adult. And afterwards, then they'll suddenly switch like, oh my God, I shouldn't have said this. I'm so sorry. While the real damage has already been done, but now your feminine side is coming out. And even that feminine side is going to be quite straightforward. Like, look, I had to say this because of this and this. So in this particular aspect, a person may fail multiple times when it comes to especially raising and dealing with children. They will also make mistakes with their education as well. They will ignore the advice. They will not listen to advice about what they want to do with their education. Sometimes it can work out. Like, okay, somebody wants to just be a IAS officer from the age of 10 or doctor from the age of 10 and they become that. But those are far and few between. Most of the time when the right wisdom and knowledge comes in, this person becomes very stubborn. And especially this person has to be careful with the friendships. The friendships you make will make the biggest influence in your decisions in your life. Whether you're getting married, breaking up with someone, whether you're choosing a career, whether you're investing somewhere. Mars can bring about people in your life, especially as friends, that are here to cause major upheaval or disturbance. And especially when it comes to investments. Stay away from advice from friends when you take investment advice, but also at the same time, you should not make investment decisions on your own. Get a professional to make your investment decisions. Okay, now you could be a professional, like for example, professional portfolio manager. Okay. That will not happen just with Mars in the fifth house at all. If Mars is not getting the influence of a planet, it will not. Or at least you will not be sought after. Like, oh, I want to invest my money with this person. Like I said, the planets will change that thing. But here's the thing. Mars will always actually protect and fight for the in-laws. They'll protect the in-laws. They'll protect the assets of the wife. They'll fight for the spouse. They'll fight for the in-laws. But in that, they can also lose and make big mistakes related to investments. Because Mars is a very giving planet. Especially when it's in a childlike sign. It's like, you want money? Because see, Mars is a soldier. Soldier has his basic needs. Once the basic needs are met, they say, what am I supposed to do with this money? I'm good. You want money? You want it? Okay, here, have it. Without pondering on how things are to develop with the money in the future. Mars is not a futuristic planet. Mars is very much a planet in present. This is why athletes are seen with Mars. Why? Because an athlete cannot think about what their retirement is going to be. They cannot think about their past girlfriend and love. They're like, I got to win the match today. What am I going to do? And that's it. Or an athlete will be focused on their working out, focused on doing their practice. They're not even thinking who my opponent is. Oh my God, I'm going to be facing Michael Jordan. I'm going to be facing Sachin Tendulkar today. I'm going to be competing against Tiger Woods. No, an athlete is like, I gotta practice, I gotta do this. And then when the opponent comes in, that's when their feelings come alive. So Mars is a very present, like if you want to know a planet that is in present is Mars. So when a Mars is very influenced, like in the fifth house for this person, intelligence is always thinking here, right now. So when you go as a human consciousness to go and make decisions for the future, this is where then Mars can screw you up. Okay, and that's something you need to, like I said, be very careful on. And especially, like I said, even with the friendships, one has to be very careful the type of friendships you make, especially in your school days or in your 20s or even 30s. Okay, fine, Mars would have progressed. But especially in your young teenage and 20s, you always want to get characters and people who are very motivating and, kind of like sattvic quality, as we can say. Because, like I said, Mars is a tamasic quality. Mars is fire. Mars is also lazy. Okay, because tamasic energy is lazy. And where does it become lazy? Is when it comes to handling children, how to deal with children. They don't want to take time, or not even time. They don't want to go deep into understanding the child. They'll be like those typical parents as you see in Indian movies, like you must become an engineer, that's it, while the child wants to do something in arts. No, this is the way you need to make it, this is the way the world works. You see, because they're like, let me just say this and that's it, my job is done, I don't need to understand you, I don't need to take time to understand you. And especially Mars in the sign of Gemini will also create it's a lot of fire, which is meeting air. So such people can definitely have like dealing with ulcers or heartburns, constipation. But one of the best things that keeps them balanced is sports. You have to engage in sports. You have to play sports. Okay, and you will see when you play sports twice a week, 3 times a week, whether even in your middle age, you go and play golf. Okay, like I go play golf. I'm obsessed with golf. Or you want to go play cricket, do something, because that will always keep your career and the fruits of your karma energized. The person is always motivated when they're doing some physical activity. The moment they stop physical activity, that's where their motivation, their enthusiasm is lost. Okay, and also in case of romance, see, Mars is not a romantic planet. Mars is like, that's it, let's go. What are we doing? Are we getting married? Are we gonna make love? That's it. They don't know that romance of foreplay. But of course, if a certain planet aspects Mars, okay, like for example, Moon is with Mars, Venus is with Mars, Jupiter looks at Mars, it balances out your gut issues. Okay, but at the same time, this person in such case will use their power intelligence to deal with romance. Their romantic idea would be going on hiking, going and watching sports, taking you to a carnival. Anything which is fun, filled with activity, this is where this Mars can actually use its benefit aspect. If Mars is positive, this is how they will use it. But on the other hand, they are, like I said, their speech is faster than their thinking with Mars in the 5th house in Gemini. They can say things like in the beginning of the dates, you don't want to say certain things, you don't want to talk about certain things, they'll talk about it. And I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have talked about it. And of course, once they reach their 30s and mid 30s, late 20s, especially after 28, when Mars matures, through those missed lessons or making those mistakes in those lessons, then they're able to kind of balance this Mars out. So Mars balances out. It doesn't always stay this immature Mars throughout, but 28th year, it kind of settles down. But at the same time, if planets are there, it can actually keep that aggressiveness going of Mars. Especially in a female's horoscope, Mars in the fifth house, you will see your husband might be the person that will be performing the last rites for your parents. Okay. The husband will be prominently present in their rituals. And the thing about Mars is, in Gemini, which I have seen a lot, they have major issues with communication devices. Forget about Mercury being retrograde or any other planet being retrograde. Mars in the fifth house, major issues with their communication devices. Like, especially if, let's say, you're on a project like a wedding photographer and you're starting out, make sure you've got 3 batteries, 3 cameras, 3 monitors, 3 flashes. Like, you need to have enough backup because you will deal with failures. Multiple failures comes in whenever they're dealing with anything connected with energy, electronics, especially communication devices. And communication device doesn't just have to be a smartphone. It can actually also be a camera. Camera is helping me communicate with you. That's a communication device. So whenever you're in such type of careers where you have to use a machine, always have a backup. Always have a backup. Like you have a business of, let's say, cleaning people's carpets. You will see your machine can fail. And you'll be like, oh, I have to go and then I can come back in 2 days, 3 days. No, keep a backup machine. Backup one always should be there. And those who are in their mid-30s, 40s, they will already, I know, will confirm that yes, this has happened. And I had to get an extra laptop. I had to get an extra phone or this or that. Especially when you're making PowerPoint presentation with this Mars in the fifth house. Have 2-3 copies. Send one to your email, one to the other email. Keep one in the thumb drive, one in the hard drive. Because Mars has to deal with the challenges of communication. Because Mars is not in a family friendly Rashi or friendly zodiac sign. Okay. Now, on the other positive end, like I said, birth of children can bring a big transformation in your career. It does. And especially when a benefic is with Mars, I mean, it can multiply your career success with just birth of one child, even. Including even with this Mars, we see that children, your own children, especially the firstborn, will have tremendous gains in their life. They are here to get gains, make that big money that they need to make. The only thing is just that you've got to take time to understanding your children. Your decisions are your own life. Don't put those decisions on your children's life. Just because they came through you doesn't mean that they are going to be subservient to your desires and fulfillment of desires. Because see, Mars' 7th aspect is on the 11th house. And Mars is the 10th lord. Their desire is to fulfill their career ambitions through their children. And that's not a right thing. Okay. So anyway, guys, this is my analysis of Mars in the 5th house for Aquarius ascendant people. If you're new to my channel, subscribe below so you don't miss this type of videos. If you want to know where all your astrological details are, you can go to karasastrology.com. And remember, I uploaded the Taurus blank chart prediction course with age activation for all ascendants. So no matter what your ascendant is, you can see how Taurus is going to be reacting and behaving. Okay. So we'll see you later with our other videos this week. Bye-bye.